back. 2023 here, back again with some knife therapy. And today's knife is the Honey Badger Knives Large WharnCleaver. And we first heard about a Honey Badger knife, I think it was last year, whenever they came out with the first one. And it was, I think, strictly sold on Amazon at the time. And it was this one. This is the medium size, and this is the first one that showed up, and it got a lot of attention, and several people bought them. It was a pretty popular knife for good reason. It, really smooth action, just a pretty well made knife. And I think I've owned 4 of these because I modified them and sold them. And they've since then came out with a hawkbill, and now this one. I'm not sure, there may be another one. I just don't remember. This knife right here in D2 is $63 at Blade HQ. And you can also get it in 8CR, which is $36. So, if 63 is too much and you rather, not spend that much, you can swing 36. You can choose. Now, of course, D2 should be better than 8CR unless something's done dramatically wrong. But let's get some quick specs out of the way, and we're gonna get into it. The large is a total length of 8.25 inches, so a nice full-size EDC, but nothing outrageous. You have a blade length of 3.62 inches. You have a grip area of 4 inches. You have a handle thickness of 0.52, so just a little above average. You have a width in the closed position at 1.48, so it is a little wide in the pocket. Your stock thickness is 0.138 or 3.5 millimeters. Your behind the edge thickness varies. At the thinnest portion, it is 15 thousandths right here in the back. Nice and thin right here. It gradually moves up, tapers up some, and at the thickest is 20 thousandths. So I'm perfectly good with that. And my variant is sharpened at 20 degrees per side, fairly even on both sides. Maybe just a tad bit broader on this side. Let's take a closer look at this, what they're calling WharnCleaver. Have a nice machine satin finish on there. Full flat grind. That's how they're able to get it thinned out. So nice. You have a cute little honey badger right there. Never seen a honey badger in real life. This side, you have the blade steel designation. Doo-doo. You have some nicely done fine-tooth jimping. It doesn't tear up the hand, but it does give you traction when pushing up, and you also have a slight ramp on the blade to give you some nice power down, pushing down into the cut. You also have some jimping in the FRN as well. That does lend itself to some grip as well. You have a large sharpening choil right here. I wouldn't really call it a forward finger choil because it's not, I can kind of fit my finger on there, but I'm kind of getting a little dangerous there. And it has some jimping right here. I have no idea what that's for. It's definitely not for flipping it because that's this side. Anybody have any idea what that's for? You have a blade hole that's been chamfered all the way around. Nice. No sharp edges on there. Close it up. You have a nice, not super obtrusive flipper tab with some more of that fine tooth jimping that works very well. And it's also been beveled around the side so you don't have any sharp edges on there like that. This knife is riding on bearings, and my particular variant has a pretty stiff detent. It comes thwacking out. So this is the light switch. As you can see, it comes out pretty hard. And the push button. So being that it has that stiffer detent, it doesn't really matter. Light switch works just as well, and it's a little bit more comfortable, at least for me, just pulling back on it. Close it back up again. Let's go back to the scales. Your hardware, you have a semi-decorative pivot with a T8. And then your body screws are T6s, just domed T6s. On your FRN, you have this nice blue color. I like blue. They're also, I think they have black and tan as well, so whatever you like. It has this honeycomb pattern on here that does give a little bit of traction. It's not like super grippy, but enough. It is contoured, as you can see. You have a very large lanyard hole right there, as my buddy the Fat Man used to say. Not sure why you have these striations on there. Maybe for when you're grabbing the knife, but I don't know. I don't really see, being that it already has a pretty deep choil. I don't see why you have to have that. With that blade hole, I can spidey flick it and I can flip it out, but I will say it is kind of difficult for me to do because of how strong the detent is on it. Can slow roll it just as long as I grab it down here. It's a lot easier. Just like when I'm spidey flicking it, if I grab it from that bottom, it's a lot easier as well. Like I said, it is smooth. I can kind of shake it down pretty easily. You have that honey badger and the name right there. This is tip up, left or right-handed, deep carry. And as you can see, it has like a filler tab right there for whenever you don't have a clip in there, so you can, put the screws in there. You have a FRN backspacer with a geared pattern that sits flush. My dog's about to bark, so I'm gonna try to hurry this up. Like I said, deep carry pocket clip. And let's see what it looks like in the pocket. It's as deep as it goes. There you go, disappears. As you can see, it goes all the way up to the top right there. You have pretty much a 1-to-1 blade to handle ratio. Almost comes all the way right there. You don't have to worry about hitting that tip, and you can't access the blade from the back of the scales by rubbing your finger on there. It did come perfectly centered, or at least my eyes, it looks like it's perfectly centered. I'm looking at the tip right there. No side-to-side blade play. You do have a little blade flex because of, the Zytel and those inset liners. I can flex the scales a little bit, but no play. No up and down whatsoever. Your lockup is sitting at around 40 to 50%. I like that. Your lock bar sits a little proud of the show side scale, so you can access it nice and easily, and you have like a cutout right there. Very easy to access that lock bar, and you do have some jimping right there to give you some traction when putting your finger there. There it goes. Or okay, we'll touch on that a little bit more. Nope, here goes my dog. Let's get a quick weight, because this feels like a fairly light knife, especially for being an 8 1/4 inch knife. 3.89 inches, so it's not that ounce an inch that some people love, but that's very light for me for that size of knife. Let's get some size comparisons, and then we will talk about some of my nitpicks. First up is the steel wheel Sargus. And Sargus is a little bit shorter, and its smaller brother, the honey badger. As you can see, it dwarfs, but this is the medium. Now, this one's a little bit close to the size. I think it's a little bit larger. And that is the CJRB Centros. The Centros is just a hair longer. And then the Best Tech Texel, which is a good bit shorter. Two more in that budget realm. One that I've been thoroughly impressed with here lately is the Civivi Shredder. The shredder is about a 1/4 inch longer, it looks like. And the Firebird Ganzo FH71. And it's a little bit shorter as well. Alrighty, so let's talk about a few things, gripes, complaints, whatever you want to call them. First off is that choil. It's either way bigger than it needed to be as a sharpening choil, or can't fit a normal size finger forward choil. And in my opinion, that choil, if it would have been a full-size choil, is perfect if you want to get some nice power behind the cut, because you can either hold it like this, which feels great right here if I could really bear down with this finger, or being that you have this scoop, you can lay your thumb right there and you can really push into a cut. So I think that was a pretty big miss. Maybe it might be something that I may take some off right here and fix that, depending on, you know, how much I use the knife. Let's see, the next thing, I noticed whenever I was doing my wood shaving, this is, you know, anytime I notice any kind of hot spots or any sharp areas, is whenever I start doing that. You know, if I feel it before just cutting cardboard, then it's a serious hot spot. But whenever I was bearing down, I noticed that the inside edges of the FRN are kind of sharp on mine. They're 90 degree. Let's see if I can show that. See, they didn't really break them off right there, and they're kind of sharp. And didn't really notice it until I really squeezed down on the knife. And then, of course, right here where it's real thin, you have a nice sharp 90 degree spot right here as well. It's easy fix for me. I just take a stone, diamond stone or something like that on my Dremel, and just knock the edges off of it. So not that big of a deal, at least to me. Another thing that I noticed whenever I was doing my my wood shaving, and I noticed this a lot whenever you have a fully deep carry clip all the way to the back. This part of the clip right here on that edge was catching my hand. Let's see. Whenever I was bearing down, and I'm kind of choked back a little bit, but whenever I'm bearing down like that, especially when I put my hand up like that, the back part of that clip just digs into my hand. It's not the most comfortable. I kind of got to reposition and make sure I keep myself like that in front of it, pushed up against that flipper tab. And that is with the large, and that is with my crappy hands. Let's see. Now this isn't a big deal at all, but I would have loved to see T8s back here. I hate seeing T6s. So much easier to strip a T6, especially if they put a lot of Loctite or anything like that. I haven't taken this guy apart, so I don't know. But, you know, it's a lot easier to strip T6s. You get a little bit more meat on the T8s. Just my opinion. Another thing that I have noticed, and I heard somebody else talk about it, and it doesn't bother me functionally. Whenever I pull it out of my pocket, I don't feel it, but right here, that little tab right there is a little sharp. I mean, I got to really push down to feel it though. So nothing that, you know, not really something that, you know, bothers me that much. I noticed, let's see if I can show on this pocket, that it's a little hard to push it into the pocket. and does kind of get hung up a little bit depending on, you know, being that this one has a thread right there, and if I'm pushing down on that clip where it's sitting on the honeycomb. And it mainly affects going into the pocket because it pushes the material into the honeycomb. Some clothing, like my lightweight shorts I wear a lot, didn't really notice it that much, but whenever I put it in a pair of jeans, I did notice a catch there. Now, it is a pocket hog, not something that bothers me, but I mean, you can see if you had this in the pocket right here, you're taking up a lot of that pocket. Once again, not something that bothers me whatsoever. The way the pot clip does sit, though, let's see if I can show it. Well, no. But the way it does sit like this, it does kind of push the knife that way a little bit so I can get my hand by it without a problem, getting some keys or whatnot. And the last nitpick, and this is, you know, going to be your opinion on, you know, how you feel about the price, but the price tag on this knife, to me, is a little steep for what you're getting. I mean, D2 and FRN, 68 bucks. Just give you some examples. The steel wheel with D2 coated blade. Now the scales aren't rounded, but you have G10 and you have this this milling in there, like the brick pattern. This knife right here on bearings as well. Great action, great ergos. And the steel wheel is $55. So this is more expensive than this with FRN. Same materials otherwise, besides the contouring. And you have about, let's see, you have more cutting length, cutting edge on the Sargas. And then another great example of this is the Centros. This is a fantastic knife, G10, bearings, D2, and this knife is only 40 bucks. Excellent value right here. Great knife. Another example is Bestech Texel. Same story. The Texel is $52, cheaper than this one. You're getting, for this price, you're getting into Civivi range, and I think as good as this one is, I don't think this one was $63. I think I don't know, I can't remember. Correct me, let me know how much this is down below, but I think it was, you know, if it was more, it wasn't much more. I want to say it was either around the same price or cheaper. I don't know, might have been. My brain doesn't work too well, people, I'm sorry. But then another example with contoured scales, way cheaper, is this Ganzo Firebird with the D2 steel, G10 bearings, contoured. I mean, it's kind of hard to beat the value of these. I mean, it's just a great knife for the money. But now you kind of see what I mean about the value. I mean, it wasn't too steep for me not to buy it because I knew I liked this original. So if the price does bother you, maybe go with the 8CR one. And it's almost half the price at $36. So, or if you want to see if you like their line of knives, start out with 8CR. But I mean, if the price isn't too steep, I would, over 8CR, I would go with D2. Like I said, unless they just don't do it right, but if they don't do this right, they probably don't do this right. So, you know, I don't know. There you go. So let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think about the price increase on this FRN knife. I just think it could have been, I think the sweet spot for this knife right here would have been, I don't know, 45 maybe. And that, to me, that's kind of high, but especially with all the budget knives they have out there. But look what I'm talking about, the sharpening choil. I mean, you get a bigger sharpening choil on this medium. I can definitely get a full grip on there. I mean, I don't know. I don't get it sometimes. There you go. It's wider. I mean, it sits back like this more. This one's more up like this. They almost meet in the same spot. Or they might meet in the exact same spot. Now this one's comes out a little bit more, but this one doesn't have as much of an arch as this one does like that. So it cramps you up a little bit more. So there you go. That's my overall impressions. I like the knife. It's been a joy to use. I like the look, like the color. I haven't really been able to, fully get a grasp on their D2. I haven't sharpened it yet. I have had to strap it a few times and touch it up on my my new Work Sharp sharpener. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below. Let me know what you think about the WharnCleaver. If you own it, let me know if you've had any of the same issues I've had. I definitely want to know if you do own it. Let me know how your detent is. I want to know if they're all strong like this, because I do know that with the Honey Badger, like I said, I've had 4 of these, and they varied. All 4 of them varied pretty drastically as far as detent strength. Other than that, everything was about the same. But this one has a very mild detent, or I'd say weak. Let's see. I mean, it doesn't shake open easy, but I mean, it's just real soft in the flipping. But, excellent if you like to slow roll your knives. But you can still, get it done since it's so damn smooth. But there you go. All right, guys and girls. Hope everybody's having an absolute wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.